That is always the question where
Anything to raise the awareness of bullying, anything to raise the awareness of disability awareness, you know, just to make the community at large aware of the needs of the public at large is vital.
I am hoping to do some work on bullying later in my professional career. It's a huge social problem, and I'm hoping to have my dissertation be on some aspect of bullying and the long-term effects.
Our panel for joining us this evening, and at this time I will introduce our panel and allow them to tell you a bit about themselves and their expertise. First up, we have Mr. Frank Camerata, the Executive Director of the Erie County's Office for the Disabled.
Thank you very much, Tess. Well, first of all, Tess, thank you for inviting me, and thanks for inviting me to this very important... Throw a couple statistics out to you. With regard to persons with disabilities, it's some 39% of parents said that their child with autism has been bullied within the last month, compared to 12% of persons without disabilities. 34% of students taking medications for ADHD face bullying 2 to 3 times a month. 59% of students who stutter have reported that they've been bullied. So keep those statistics in mind. You know, we're not talking 1 or 2% here. Those are big numbers.
Something I want you to think about. I want you to look around this room and find someone who looks exactly like you. I want you to look around the room and notice something about someone you don't like, just based on appearance. We have not taken the time to let them speak or learn their story. And we do that. We all do that. We've all done it at least once in our lifetimes. We judge before we do take the opportunity to get to learn. I'd like to leave you this quote from one of my administrators that I used to work with. We are all extraordinary, given our unique skills, talents, and gifts. We must celebrate rather than put down. Why is that such a challenge? Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Dr. Michael Rembus, Assistant Professor and Director of the Center for Disability Studies at the University at Buffalo.
Bullying is also perhaps more complex than we think. We often think of bullies and people being bullied, but I want to try to suggest that perhaps it's more fluid and dynamic than that, that seeing people being bullied in one situation might become bulliers in another situation, and that these things are often more complicated than we would like to think, and I think that we need to begin to try to address them on that level and not speak of them simply in terms of rites of passage and boys will be boys, as you've heard in the film. And I know that that's in part what the film is trying to do, and I'm hoping we can continue that dialogue and even open it up, I think, a little bit further and talk more broadly about how bullying and harassment fits in with, you know, a sort of a larger culture in this country. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Rembus. Next, I'd like to introduce Bree Kishel, who is our Education Coordinator at the Museum of Disability History.
The Dignity for All Students Act, which is legislation that was passed this year requiring school districts to take action against bullying, and it all just came together very nicely for us. So we've been working on the program for about a year now, and it will premiere in the school districts as of January 2013. The program includes and incorporates one skit using our puppets from the Kids on the Block program, and throughout the skit we talk about defining bullying and what the students can do if they become a victim of bullying, how to report bullying incidents, and we try to tap on the different tools that students can access if they encounter any of these situations, and tools being something in their minds that, you know, we're providing to them through the program. We also have a portion of the program where students can ask us questions and we can engage them in a discussion about bullying. We also have an interactive activity where we talk about the long-term effect of bullying and how words that hurt don't go away. Those scars are there forever.
Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Amanda Nickerson, Associate Professor and Director of the Alberti Center for the Prevention of Bullying, Abuse, and School Violence at the University of Buffalo.
Thank you. It's good to see you all here tonight, and I hope that, I guess you all will be going tomorrow night as well, because you have a free ticket. So I'm glad that this event and other events like this are being held to address this really important issue. If you don't know what the UB Alberti Center for Bullying Abuse Prevention is, that's okay. I'll tell you in just a moment. We actually started up, Dr. Alberti, who Betty Marie referred to before as our benefactor. So she graduated from the University at Buffalo with a degree in educational psychology back in 1970 and was a teacher for many years in this area. What are the effects of it? How do we recognize it? And most importantly, how can each of us play a role in trying to prevent it and intervene when it occurs? And that's both from the level of working with what I'm starting to call targets instead of victims, because they're targeted for this, and they don't have to be a victim of this forever. The individuals who bully, and then also the people who, the bystanders, the people who see it. We now know from research that it affects them too. Oftentimes, unfortunately, the most common response is to not do anything when we see it or intervene to help. In fact, most people, most kids have a tendency to not do anything or join in when they see it. So how is it that we can work with changing that culture, changing the norms, and getting people to step up and do something about it?
Bullying is something that people are ashamed of. They're afraid to talk about it. When kids are in elementary school, they're more willing to come home and say, geez, Mom and Dad, you know, little Mikey was picking on me and he was being so mean and such. And then all of a sudden they get to an age where they don't talk to the parents as much about that because they start feeling like they're a disappointment to their parents if they tell their parents that they're being picked on and such. And I know that firsthand because I was bullied basically from like 8 years old till I was graduating high school. That had me form a very special bond with Jamie, as we literally had thousands of conversations about bullying through the years. But usually it's not spoken of, again, for how people feel about it. My mother didn't know till 38 years later that I was bullied for all those years. She didn't understand why I was in my room.
Just getting educated because I am a teacher, looking for a job, so I feel that it helped me prepare more for my profession.
Experience this as well, like when there's more teachers in the hallways and people who are aware of what's going on between the students are there, there's less bullying happening. So how can we get more people into the schools who are adults who can help students maintain their behaviors?
So all these kids over there are suffering. Their suicide rates are going up. The kids are afraid to go to school. So what they are doing is this film crew are coming over to America. They're going to come visit our family, and they want to see what we're doing in America because they're saying about how we have such strict laws and what we're building up here. And they're traveling again to Western New York here, they're going to California, they're going to Nevada, they're going to Ohio, and they're visiting all these people. But just the stories that he was telling me how, again, their whole country is in fear, like all the kids are in fear.